welcome to Law Talk, the show that brings the law, the Constitution, and the events of today to you each month. Tonight is an historical night on the Deplorable News Network. We're fortunate enough to be the day after the election of all time. We have the Donald. And Mr. Trump, congratulations.
Thank you, James. And I appreciate you bringing me on the show. And I appreciate the times you brought me in the show in the past, right? Before, when I was just starting out, even before I started out. So I really want to thank you for that. And I'm really delighted to be here. I think the show's going to be huge, beautiful.
How beautiful is it going to be?
It's going to be really beautiful.
Is it going to be beautiful?
Well, this is an era. I mean, we got to look at some eras, okay? First of all, there was the computer era, Steve Jobs. Then we had the Clintons and the Monica Jobs. And then we had Obama, no jobs. So my era is going to be jobs, jobs, jobs.
Are you going to make America great again?
We're going to make America great. And so what we're going to start off with tonight, we're going to talk about, a lot of people are saying the only reason I won the election because the FBI director started talking about Weiner's emails.
Wait a minute. Are you talking about Carlos Danger?
Carlos Danger.
Okay, well, what have we got on Carlos Danger?
Well, Carlos Danger was Uma Abedin's husband until they got estranged. I don't know, strange or estranged? I'm not sure. But anyway, strange and estranged. But anyway, and Uma was the right-hand person for Hillary, the brains of the operation, really. And, you know, was with her everywhere all the time. And so Weiner was in a little trouble because he was texting his private parts to a 15-year-old, and that became an investigation where the FBI was looking at that. Then they stumbled over 650,000 emails that had some of Uma's stuff on there, which had some of Hillary's stuff on there.
Wait a minute. That's a lot there. We have to break that down a little bit. First of all, how do you stumble on the 650,000 emails when, in fact, we already know that the whole email controversy, there was 30,000 eliminated. There was 100,000 turned over, and now there's another 650,000?
Well, but that 650,000 would be, you know, a lot of them would be sexting with 15 years old. And then some
that would be with Carlos.
Yeah, with Carlos. Carlos and Carlita. And then, or whoever, who knows? We don't know who.
15-year-old.
We don't know who the minor was, or the minors. There might have been more than one.
We don't. An army of minors.
Okay, so, yeah, it was like a...
Coal miner's daughter.
So it was kind of like I said, it's like the Clinton like the Clinton, what do they call it? The oral office.
Oh,
the oral office, you know, under Clinton. Okay, so anyway, you had a lot of things going on, and so previously the FBI director had said he wasn't going to prosecute, which is kind of silly because that's actually the Attorney General's job to decide whether or not I can prosecute.
Hang on, let's go back. Let's make sure we're on time here on all this. You're talking about Comey, who's the head of the FBI.
FBI Director
Comey.
Comey.
Investigative force.
Right.
Why would he have any decision whether or not the Attorney General is going to prosecute?
Well, he would maybe make a recommendation, but he wouldn't have any determinative power or authority.
So then why would he be the decision maker, and this was July of this year,
right.
Why would he be the decision maker in July to tell the Attorney General that there's nothing here to prosecute and no career politician would ever prosecute this case?
Well, because it seems like it's estranged and a little bit strange. And
strange and estranged.
It's just strange and estranged. And also, it's also kind of interesting because the Clintons, through I think a governor, gave the wife of the number 5 or 6 FBI guy $675,000 for that campaign.
You're talking about the governor of Virginia, Terry McAuliffe, who's the best friend of the Clintons by accident.
Yeah, right, by accident.
It just happened to give about $675,000 to the wife of the FBI agent that wound up handling
but that wasn't directly to the oral office. I mean the Oval Office. The Oval Office. I was getting the mix up. Yeah. So anyway, so that's 665,000, and then the number 5 got promoted to like number 2 or number 3.
Right below Comey.
And guess what? He was in charge of it.
Oh, investigating the emails
of the Clintons.
Of the Clintons.
Of Hillary Clinton.
I mean, from his best friend Terry McAuliffe.
Yeah, for the $675,000.
Just accidentally gave his wife, the doctor,
and also
about $675,000
and also
to run for Senate.
And that $675,000
by accident
is also way more than those Senate races usually get. And usually, you know, people send in $25 or $50. This is $675,000 from one donor.
Do you think you'd remember that from one donor? Donald.
Oh, I forgot about that.
If anyone ever handed you $675,000, would you recognize that as
come on. That's kind of like the uranium deal in Canada.
Oh, the uranium deal in Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
Canada.
Yeah.
Oh, that's by accident.
Okay, so what happened here, so that became, and then just like, I guess 9 days before the election, Comey comes out and goes, we kind of said that we couldn't find anything. There's no there. Now there might be some there because we're looking through a bunch of smut on Weiner's emails, and we found some Uma stuff. It's Uma, I'm not sure.
It's Uma, and by the way,
but it's H-U-M-A.
That wasn't his computer. It belonged to Uma, and he shared it.
Well, okay, yeah, well, community property, I guess.
But wait a minute, I'm going to take you back for a second. See, Uma, I was under the impression, was given immunity to turn over all computers and all emails that she had related to Hillary Clinton.
But that was only if she didn't hammer it.
If she didn't hammer it.
Yeah, if you hammer it.
It wasn't bleach.
Maybe she was hammered.
Maybe it was bleach.
Maybe
she was hammered.
Maybe it was hammered.
Maybe she didn't understand.
Yeah, so
maybe she didn't understand the word hammer. Maybe you're supposed to
hammer in the morning, hammer in the evening. Hammer all day long. Okay, so they did a lot of hammering over there, so they were hammering things down. So anyway, then at the last minute, then 2 days before the election, Comey goes out and goes like, we looked through, we spent about 15 minutes looking through 650,000 emails,
yes.
which is kind of weird because they looked through like 30, 40, 50,000 for like 6 months or a year.
Or a year.
And then they spent like 2 days?
7 days.
And so it's like
7 days.
Yeah, so it's kind of like 0.3 milliseconds.
Okay, well, hang on. There's more to it that's interesting because the State Department, when they were asked for emails, it took them a year to review 1,000 emails to determine if there's anything sensitive on it.
Right.
So then why would it be 650,000 in less than 7 days that they could review and decide there was nothing?
I know why. Because they're looking through porn. That's a lot more fun.
That's a lot more fun.
So it's easier to get
watching it faster.
So actually, they had more guys that wanted to work on it. So that's why.
That's when they had a lot of overtime.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of overtime.
Lots of overtime.
Overtime.
In fact, you kept wondering because they all had, they had blisters on their hands.
No, the other thing was like the other stuff, the boring stuff, like the Benghazi stuff and like ISIS stuff. That's boring stuff. Gun running stuff. No, they couldn't find anyone to look at that.
That's funny. And they had Hillary saying, "Oh my God, can we?"
But it is like
uranium right to the Russian.
Can you see the FBI staff meeting? Who wants to look at Katy porn? So lots of
I understand they're good friends with Katy Perry. Maybe she had some porn on Carlos Danger's email.
Yeah. Carlos Danger. So anyway, so a lot of people are very upset at Comey and saying that he threw the election and that Hillary would have won if it wasn't for Comey.
Oh my God! Are you trying to tell me when he let her off in July? And then he came back with a computer that had 650,000 emails, and then he decides, I'm going to let you off a week later. Do you think that had an effect on the election?
Well, the thing about it is Comey was kind of caught in a little bit of a bind because he was before Congress, and one of the, I'm not sure if it was a senator or a congressman, said, if you find
Jason Chaffetz.
No, I don't think it was Jason. I think it was someone that said, if you find
Troy Gowdy.
I don't think it was him either, but one of the Congress people, I'm not sure if it was a senator, or I think it was a man, and he said, if you find anything new, will you get back to us? And he said yes.
Well, isn't that the same time when he asked Comey that, why didn't you review her testimony?
No, this was a different one. This was like...
And that's Jason Chaffetz.
Okay, whatever. But
one was Trey Gowdy.
I know, but there was this guy, I think was just another senator, who just had like 30 seconds to ask something, and he said, if you find something new, will you come back? And Comey said, yeah, I'll come back.
Well, you know what
that's what caught him.
He's supposed to be the most honest guy in Washington.
Well, come on. He's a good old guy. He's a good
old boy.
He's a good old boy. He's a good old boy.
Wait a minute, I have a question. Is his wife running for any election like the woman was the wife of the number two person in the FBI?
Well, the thing is, Comey wasn't, okay, and also when they had the investigation of Hillary, Comey wasn't in that room.
He wasn't in
and then all the targets and the lawyers for Hillary were there, who all got immunity, and two minor agents, and I think the guy whose wife got the 665,000 was there, but Comey wasn't in that room.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
So he was busy.
Why wasn't he there?
He was probably playing golf.
Wasn't this the most important event?
Golfing.
Was he playing golf?
I think it was
playing Lynch in Arizona.
I think he was playing golf in Arizona. Yeah.
Okay, well listen, Donald, what's our second topic?
Okay, so
this exciting evening, historic evening.
So this is a big thing that I brought up was voter fraud. Okay, and they said, oh, there's no such thing as voter fraud, but you got to look at it that there's a couple million or 2.5 million dead people
voting.
Well, the thing is, I remember Mort Saul said that he instructed his executor that he wanted his body buried in Chicago, so he could continue his political activity after his death.
Oh,
so,
that's good. Has he?
Yeah. So that's
how many times has he been elected after his death?
How many times has he voted? So yeah, there's about 2.5 million dead people that vote, and everyone goes, oh, that's not that big deal. That's just,
that's kind of funny because I understand in your election, Donald, that there was only about a 400,000 person vote difference between you and Miss Clinton.
So anyway, what they did with George Washington when he was elected president, you got up and said, I'm voting for this guy. That would probably be the best thing because, if you don't have voter ID and you got people anyway, there was this Project Veritas where they did some sub rosa. Can you explain to the crowd what a sub rosa videotape is?
Sub rosa videotape is where they kind of set the scene for their target. And what the target does is wind up babbling and talking and spilling all the beans. And what they do is they kind of discuss a subject and they get the person going. And pretty soon the person is just going to keep talking because they want to tell the story because they think they're so cool.
Well, also,
didn't they get somebody else?
Yeah, they got a Kramer. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Robert Kramer. And what they use, sub rosa videotapes are a lot like for PI cases. You said, oh, I've got a broken back and a broken neck, and then they've got you like, playing volleyball and carrying the keg down to the beach on the secret tape, right? So this is what they did to Robert Kramer. He's in there.
Who is Robert Kramer?
Well, he met with Obama 47 times in the last year, and he was in.
How many times did you meet with Obama?
I haven't met with him that often. Just at the press thing, right? And then I guess he was at the White House 400 times in the last year. And what he did is he set up these Cayman bank accounts, right? So the Cayman Islands, and so the Hillary campaign would funnel money to these Cayman Island accounts, and then those Cayman Island accounts would funnel money back to Democratic operatives who had different shell corporation names, like Democracy Partners or Saving the World, whatever.
Right.
The Global Warming Initiative.
Sound so innocent.
Yeah, the global.
That we all believe they're okay. They're all good people.
Well, there was
good names.
Like Save the Putty Cats.
Save the Putty Cats.
Save the Putty Cats. Don't ask me about Putty Cats.
Save the world.
Don't talk to me about putties.
How about this?
Okay.
Oh my God. Global warming plus.
So anyway, so they set up all these names like Saving the Putty Cats, Saving the Puppies, Saving the Global Warming or whatever. And then those guys dish out cash and they paid people $1,500 a day to like start riots at the, hit people at the Trump
rallies.
At the Trump
rallies.
Yeah, at my rallies. And like you saw in San Jose. And which I think the reason I won is because the girl with the egg on her face in San Jose.
Literally.
That was a
big deal.
That was an image that I don't think anyone would forget.
No.
And so the girl with whoever she is, I think she should get a position in the Trump. In my administration.
New administration.
She could be communications director or something.
I'm looking for.
And then we could just then they could just throw eggs at her.
What do you think, Donald?
Yeah. So there you go. And we'll make you head of something or another. You can be. Well, I think Giuliani is going to be AG. So I don't know.
I love that job.
So I don't know who's going to be the AG.
I have some people.
I don't know. I don't know who's going to be the AG.
Start with Eric Holder.
But anyway, and then there was a Scott Fauval. And he was also talking about how they busing people to states. To do the dead people votes, right?
Dead people votes.
And the problem was they were starting to worry because I had mentioned to watch out, so they can't really use buses anymore. So they say, well, we could carpool and use rental cars that had in-state license plates and that kind of thing, because they said if you took say if you're going from one state to another, and you have an out-of-state license plate and you go vote, that might raise a question. So what they said, they're setting up some leasing operations so they can move, hundreds of thousands or millions of people around to do these fraudulent votings. So that's all on Project Veritas.
Wait a minute, I have a question. You've always talked about the rigged election. What made you believe there was actually a rigged election at any time?
Well, I think the Project Veritas showed these tapes a little bit before the election, but they taped them a while ago.
Well, I understand. Okay, you know what I understand, Donald? The rigged election, in this case, they didn't rig it enough because they miscounted how many people were actually voting. The dead were voting.
Well, the thing is,
they would have won.
Well, yeah. Okay, well, also, a lot of people were scared to death because they didn't want to get beaten to death if they said they were Trump supporters.
For Trump.
So if you wear a Trump hat, you would get assaulted.
So you go in there wearing a Hillary hat.
So no, but I'm just saying if someone comes up to you and asks you, because, people would come up and say, who are you voting for? No one's going to say they're voting for Trump because they get beaten.
Well,
so anyway,
I'll tell you this, that's very true. You know why? Because if you dare to say you're a Trump supporter, you know what happens, Donald? I'm a phobia of everything you can ever think about. I may be LGBT phobia.
No, well, the thing is, okay, the thing is, the problem.
Border phobia.
See, in America, the
uranium phobia.
The isms and the and the phobias have kind of been worn out.
Yeah,
right? They kind of used them up.
They're overplayed.
And so you have embezzling apparatchiks, and you've got like lazy academians, and you've got some.
I mean, the people who can't get a job.
And you got some corrupt. You got some corrupt politicians, and they kind of get a lot of mileage out of this stuff. But I think the public is extremely bored by all that, and they're just kind of tired of it. It doesn't really. It's kind of like beating a dead horse. I mean, I don't want to get in trouble with PETA.
Oh,
but
yeah,
I mean, but it's basically they're beating a dead horse. So,
let alone eating that.
So I think that the Clinton campaign thought they were going to get a lot more mileage out of that, the isms, the is, and the phobias, than they really did, because
they didn't get that much out of it.
Because it didn't really change the women's vote that much. It didn't change the gay vote that much, and it didn't change the Hispanic vote that much.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting, I understand on the voting statistics, and the reason I bring this up because they could not rig this. It turns out the Latino vote in favor of you was higher than what Mitt Romney. It was about 29%. Yeah. And the women, educated white women vote, which they thought would be down in the 10 to 20% range, was up in the 49% range, which totally shocked their.
Well, I mean, but people were afraid to death. They were going to, they want to get.
They wouldn't talk
because they didn't want to have their,
their cars scratched.
Their cars scratched,
or their windows broken.
Or look what happened to the guy at the Trump Star.
What happened?
The homeless guy was guarding the Trump Star. He got
beat up,
pummeled, right?
Yeah, you know why? Because people said, "How dare you guard the Trump Star?"
Yeah, right. So I'm just saying, probably when you're polling people,
you're going to say you vote for the one who's the people with the beat. You're
yeah,
saying you vote for their candidate.
And you got to understand that these Cayman Island accounts were paying people $1,500 a day to attack people.
Isn't this illegal?
Well, the thing about it is, nothing the Clintons do is really illegal, because after the what do they call it, on the tarmac?
Yeah.
Because
they had the tarmac with Loretta Lynch.
They had the tarmac party.
Big Bill.
Yeah, Big Bill and
he just happened to play a round of golf in 110 temperature that day. Oh, was about to, and then mysteriously he saw Loretta Lynch's jet fly in.
Okay, well, anyway, but basically,
we talked about that.
This is kind of old news. I mean, I talked to Hillary, I talked to Obama, I talked to Joe Biden, I talked to Tim Kaine. Yeah. So the election's over. We had a hard-fought election, and we're all buddies now. There's one thing I'm not.
We're all buddies.
We're all buddies now. But there's maybe some technical details, but everyone's going to work together now. But I think the one people that I'm not buddies with is CNN.
CNN.
Because those folks are supposed to be investigative reporters, and we saw from the WikiLeaks, and we saw from, what was her name, Donna
Brazile.
Donna Brazile. See, I'm trying to study up on this stuff, and Clinton's supposed to be an expert, but she has all the answers and all the questions.
Well, before we get any further with Donna Brazile, Donald, I think we have to move on to our last subject, because I want to hold the CNN project for a future show. So what is our third subject tonight?
Okay, well, hi, Jim.
Oh,
Mark is back. Mark is back.
Thanks, Donald.
Okay, anyway, this is kind of an interesting thing. This is Duke versus Chesapeake Energy Corporation.
Are you talking about the university?
This is Duke University, and Aubrey McClendon was a wildcat oil guy, and he hit it big in the oil business, and he took a lot of risks, and he made a lot of money. And he went to Duke, and he met his wife there, and I think he sent all his children there, and he just loved Duke University, right? Now, what happened, a lot of his holdings took a hit, because oil used to be like $90, $100
it was up to 120 a barrel.
120 a barrel, and then it dropped down to 50, and I think he overextended himself. And but in the meantime, he had made a $19 million pledge to Duke.
Was this in writing or was this verbal?
My understanding was this was just an oral.
It was an oral agreement.
Oral agreement. So it was basically.
So it wasn't really worth the paper it was written on.
Yeah. Well, it was. Sometimes when people talk about oral agreements, they say it's a matter of mind over matter. You know what that is?
Yes, I believe. Tell me.
Yeah, it's like those that matter don't mind, those that mind don't matter. So anyway.
That's good. I like that.
Can
I use that in court?
Yeah, you can use that, Your Honor.
I'm sure. By the way, Your Honor, it's mind over matter.
This is a question of mind over matter.
Mind over matter.
Those that matter don't mind. Those that mind don't matter. Okay, so he made this $19 million pledge. Now Duke is coming after about half of that. And I don't really understand their theory on that.
Oh, well, King Solomon split the baby.
Yeah, split the baby in half, And of course the heirs, well, what happened?
Well, wait a minute, how much money was in the estate?
There's quite a bit of money in there, but it's hard to figure out because he had so many different holdings, and he was kind of overextended, so there was a lot of debt.
Are you telling me he was building a little pyramid scheme with all these money?
No, I think that he was putting stuff out there. When the oil prices dropped, he had to contract his thing. So he wasn't doing.
Was the estate capable of paying that amount?
Yes, I believe it is.
So why aren't they just paying and leaving it alone?
Because the heirs don't want to pay it. And so.
But wait a minute. How long after? Let's strike that. How long before he died did he make this promise? Was there witnesses? And how many people witnessed it? And was there any memorialization in an email even that would recognize that this?
My understanding is that it's oral, and I think it was within a couple of years of the death, and the death was untimely.
Why was his death untimely?
Well, I think he died in a car accident, and so it wasn't a planned thing, and.
That we know of.
Yeah, that we know of. Yeah.
Was that foundation, the Clinton Foundation?
The Clinton Foundation. Wait a minute. No, it was nothing.
He needed his donation.
Maybe the Cayman Islands. We don't know. So when this happens, first you got to pay the state's got to pay the IRS first.
Of course.
And I don't know how much he owes the IRS. And then the next is the secured creditors, and there's quite a few secured creditors, right?
Ah, I see.
So they're still hashing that out, right? And the estate's concerned if they give these guys $9 or $10 million,
they'll be out of money.
They might, at the end when everything, because the secured creditors, of course, they're trying to give how much on a dollar you're going to give me.
This is an unsecured creditor.
Well, then
Duke would be an unsecured creditor.
Well, I don't know if you even call them an unsecured creditor. You call them a promissory
beneficiary.
Yeah, something like that. But I mean, then next would be unsecured credit, like credit cards.
Beneficiaries come last in line.
Credit cards, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, and I guess, but I don't even see it. Like, if you do a credit card, you sign something, right?
Yeah, of course, you're on a contract.
So I think this is a quasi-contract or oral contract.
It's an oral contract, but the question is asked of the timeline: how long was the contract supposed to be performed? What was the validation of the contract? Who witnessed the contract? And what was the consideration?
Well, I'm sure Duke has plenty of witnesses.
I'm sure Duke's coming up with a whole army of people. But wait a minute. So the question is. The reason I ask this is because I'm not familiar with the value of the estate.
Well, I'm not sure. People are not certain of that value because they're fighting over the secured creditors.
Are we talking about $1 billion,
but
$500 million, $4 billion?
I don't think it's that much, but we don't really know. But I think there's enough to pay the $10 million, and still probably leave something to the heirs.
Let's talk about it from a reverse standpoint. Why does Duke think they get this money?
Well, the thing that there's a big argument between universities and foundations, people saying if you kind of arm wrestle these donors, that doesn't make us look good. So a lot of it I think is appearance, and that's what maybe they went down from 9 to 8.5 or whatever it is, 19 to 8.5. So maybe they cut it in half because it just doesn't look good. Arm wrestling the heirs over somebody who had an unfortunate death, nothing in writing, financial
this
problems.
Smells the high heaven.
Yeah. So I think that there's an appearance here that could be a problem for Duke.
Yeah, I don't understand because a university on the majority of universities that take endowments and take donations and take charities and all of this, they actually do it on an up and up, and there's usually a written record of the endowment or the bequeath coming from the decedent. In this case, it sounds like you have a witness situation. The court case, I'd love to understand what they have to prove.
Well, like I'm saying, as this starts coming,
this deal doesn't make any sense.
No, but as this starts coming out, it's going to be very interesting. So we don't really know. But I think you could say, I don't know if this really fits in, but I would say it's almost like a promissory. Maybe this is mere puffing.
Puffing.
You can say mere puffing. I mean, I promised.
Well, then they should
20
be
million.
settling the case.
Maybe I'll give you 20 million because
maybe he was drunk when he said it.
Yeah. So
was he legally capable of making that?
Yeah. So I'm just saying, I don't know when you're promising to donate, it's not the same thing as a contract. Because can Duke say they actually relied on this?
What was their loss for non-reliance? Yes, we know no.
Okay, but I mean,
how could they rely on
but
that?
what was the consideration Duke was?
That's why I asked.
There's no consideration. There's no consideration per se, and so I think Duke is in a little bit of a problem here. Plus, it doesn't look good to be shaking down estates of donors and fighting with the heirs. I don't think it looks good.
I will tell you, if Duke promised to put his grandkids through their university, if you give this bequeath, and he says, I will give this bequeath.
Yeah, well, then you have to consideration.
Put my grandchildren through your university.
Or maybe we're going to name the library.
Yeah,
after
we'll name the library. Or
something
we'll
like
name the
that.
lab, or we'll name something. That
would be consideration. But I don't see that here. I don't see consideration.
I see somebody said while they were drunk, hey, I'll give you some money.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, he dies.
So, I mean, it's almost like mere puffing. Oh, you're going to love this car.
Oh, yeah.
Does the car run? You're going to love it.
Oh, yeah. Grandma drove it to church every Sunday.
Does the car run? You're going to love it. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. Love it.
Put the keys in the ignition and just drive on.
No, my guys will push it off the lot for you.
Don't look.
We're going to push it off the lot for you.
Right off the lot. Yeah. But anyway, the reason I asked this is because
we're trying to save on smog. You
realize
global warming.
University has a lot of alumni that donate a lot of money. There's something that doesn't make sense. Duke should have never brought this lawsuit. But one fact I will ask: is there anybody in the family of the decedent that validates the bequeath?
Well, right now I think this is all being handled kind of with kid gloves by a bunch of lawyers because there's a lot of money. And I think if you belong to this, either the Chesapeake Energy Corporation or the McClendon family, you're smart enough to keep your yap shut. And you're not going to talk until you're under subpoena or you're being testified or deposed.
I don't know. I'm very concerned about this because I think it's such a bad eye when you look at it. If I'm looking at this, I say there's nothing good about this deal. Duke should walk away.
And also, it makes John Wayne look bad.
Yeah, sure
the Duke
does.
And the Duke of Earl.
Make sure
the Duke,
partner,
the Duke of Earl. So yeah, I mean, it makes all the Dukes look bad.
My biggest problem with this is,
but the main thing,
if I was an alumni of Duke, I wouldn't want to give him a penny after
the main thing is they're duking it out in court.
They're duking it out in court.
So
but the problem is, would you, if you're an alumni of Duke, would you want to continue to contribute when they're being so petty? Now it's a lot of money, but it's still one donation from one former.
So it's an interesting contract. It's an interesting estate thing. We don't know what the heirs think. We don't know really what the proof is. But I would think if Duke had some contractual something signed,
if they have anything, even an email
I think we would have heard about it by now.
I don't know. It sounds like it's all verbal. But anyway, on that happy note, I think we'll.
Oh well, wait a minute. We got your pen sets.
Yes.
So why don't you take a look at that pen set?
Yes, I noticed that we had.
That was left behind.
Donald gave us some.
That was left behind by the Donald.
Yes, and this one says, "Obama, you're fired." So, and what does yours say?
And this one is, hold the thing up. Okay, here you go.
And as you can see, these were presidential pen sets given to us tonight on Law Talk from the Deplorable Network. We're here tonight to tell you that it's been one historic day in the lives of Mark Malachowski and James Barrett.
Don't try to adjust your TV set. This is the Deplorable News Network. Do not touch your TV set. Do not change.
Anyway,
Don't change the vertical hold.